Wi-Fi, also known as Wi-Fi or WLAN, is a wireless network involving at least one Wi-Fi antenna connected to the internet and a series of computers, laptops and/or other wireless devices communicating wirelessly with the Wi-Fi antenna. In this way, each such wireless communication device can communicate wirelessly with the internet. All the studies reviewed here were of Wi-Fi using the 2.4 GHz band, although there is also a 5 GHz band reserved for possible Wi-Fi use. Telecommunications industry-linked individuals and groups have claimed that there are no and cannot possibly be any health impacts of Wi-Fi. However, with Wi-Fi exposures becoming more and more common, and with many of our exposures being without our consent, there is much concern about possible Wi-Fi health effects. This paper is not focused on anecdotal reports, but rather on 23 controlled, scientific studies of such health-related effects in animals, cells including human cells in culture, and in human beings. Wi-Fi is convenient, but many have raised doubts concerning the safety of unseen forces that permeate everything around us. Since the introduction of Wi-Fi in 1997, researchers have performed dozens of studies to explore the subject. The results are clear and shocking. Wi-Fi can negatively affect overall health and brain health, especially in children. Perhaps most shocking is that this information is not new or even that controversial. In fact, in 2008, the well-renowned publication Scientific American ran a piece called Mind Control by Cell Phone, which explained the danger Wi-Fi has on the human brain. Let's further explore the potential dangers of Wi-Fi with these 10 facts. The potential dangers of Wi-Fi. 1. Contributes to the development of insomnia. Have you ever felt more awake after using Wi-Fi, or even struggled to sleep through the night? Reports of these phenomena have been frequent and even prompted a study in 2007 that evaluated low-frequency modulation from cell phones and its impact on sleep. Participants were exposed to the electromagnetic signals from real phones or no signal from fake phones. Those exposed to the electromagnetic radiation had a significantly more difficult time falling asleep, and changes in brainwave patterns were observed. It's been suggested that sleeping near a phone, in a home with Wi-Fi, or in an apartment building with many Wi-Fi signals can create chronic sleep concerns, as the constant bombardment of Wi-Fi pollution interferes with falling asleep and sleep patterns. For many, sleep deprivation is just the start for larger concerns. The development of depression and hypertension have also been linked to inadequate sleep. 2. Damaging to childhood development. Exposure to non-thermal radiofrequency radiation from Wi-Fi and cellular phones can disrupt normal cellular development, especially fetal development. A 2004 animal study linked exposure to delayed kidney development. These findings were supported by a 2009 Austrian study. In fact, the disruption of protein synthesis is so severe that authors specifically noted this cell property is especially pronounced in growing tissues, that is, in children and youth. Consequently, these population groups would be more susceptible than average to the described effects. In short, bathing the developmentally young in Wi-Fi increases their risk of developmental issues. 3. Affects cell growth. When a group of Danish 9th graders experienced difficulty concentrating after sleeping with their cell phones by their head, they performed an experiment to test the effect of wireless Wi-Fi routers on garden cress. One set of plants was grown in a room free of wireless radiation. The other group grew next to 2 routers that released the same amount of radiation as a cell phone. The results? The plants nearest the radiation didn't grow. 4. Derailed brain function. Just as the Danish high schoolers noticed concerns with concentration, scientists have begun to look at the impact of 4G radiation on brain function. Using MRI technology, research performed just last year found that persons exposed to 4G radiation had several areas of reduced brain activity. 5. Reduces brain activity in females. A group of 30 healthy volunteers, 15 men and 15 women, were given a simple memory test. First, The entire group was tested without any exposure to Wi-Fi radiation, no concern. Then, they were exposed to 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi from a wireless access point for about 45 minutes. During that portion of the testing, brain activity was measured, and the women had a noticeable change in brain activity and energy levels. Sorry ladies. But guys, don't get too comfortable. 6. Neutralizes sperm. Because we've known for a long time that the heat generated by laptops kills sperm. Well, now it turns out that heat isn't the only threat to a man's virility. Wi-Fi frequencies reduce sperm movement and cause DNA fragmentation. 7. May impact fertility. And it's not just sperm. The results of an animal study suggest that some wireless frequencies may prevent egg implantation. During the study, mice exposed 2 hours a day for 45 days had significantly increased oxidative stress levels. The cellular damage and impact on DNA structure from exposure suggest a strong possibility of abnormal pregnancy or failure of the egg to implant. The Karolinska Institute in Sweden released a warning in 2011 stating pregnant women are cautioned to avoid using wireless devices themselves and distance themselves from other users. Current US and Canada standards for radio frequency and microwave radiation from wireless technology are entirely inadequate, and safety standards also ignore the developing fetus. 8. Provokes cardiac stress. If you think your heart races when surrounded by wireless networks or 3G or LTE cell phones, it may not be in your head. A study involving 69 subjects reported that many of them experienced a real physical response to electromagnetic frequencies. Exactly what was the physical response? Increased heart rate, similar of an individual under stress. 9. Linked to cancer. We can't ignore that plenty of animal models indicate that exposure to electromagnetic radiation increases the risk of tumor development. While human studies are rare, reports and case studies abound. One such case involves a young 21-year-old woman who developed breast cancer. What makes this case unique was that her family did not have a predisposition to cancer, and she developed the tumor right on the spot. She carried her cell phone in her bra. 10. You can protect yourself. Although mainstream outlets may ignore the proven dangers, especially in the US and Canada, researchers have identified several methods that can offer a level of defense. First off, reduced melatonin seems to correspond with exposure. Thus, increasing melatonin through supplementation may help offset some of the effects. In animal tests, L-carnitine provides antioxidant support for nutrients negatively affected by 2.4 GHz radiation, limiting exposure and staying healthy. Although melatonin and L-carnitine offer a nutritional defense, they don't block exposure. And that's very hard to accomplish anyway. Look at coverage maps from cell phone companies, or notice how many Wi-Fi networks your smartphone prompts for you to join. We're surrounded and bombarded by electromagnetic radiation. Blocking exposure is difficult, but there are a few small steps you can take. For one, do not keep cell phones, laptops, and tablets close to your body. And if it's not being used, shut them off. Your wireless router too. There are also a number of devices available to counteract electromagnetic frequencies. Check out these ways to protect yourself from laptop radiation and cell phone radiation too. Wi-Fi makes your life easier. You can get online from a coffee shop or from your living room. You are not tethered to a big computer that is physically linked to the internet, but that convenience comes at a price. Wi-Fi dangers made worse by cumulative effect. Wireless routers, as well as Bluetooth and similar wireless systems, give off electromagnetic radiation in the low gigahertz frequency. This level is considered potentially dangerous to people. And the danger is compounded by several factors. Just like the wireless signals themselves, the EMFs can pass through walls. Most routers are not turned off at night, so you are exposed 24/7. You are not only exposed to EMFs from your own router, Did you ever search for a wireless signal and see not only your wireless network, but also your neighbors and the one from the business down the street? All of them emit EMFs. Increasingly, scientists and researchers are uncovering the health risks of EMFs. Depending on the level and the length of exposure, those risks can range from insomnia and headaches to tumors. Repeated Wi-Fi studies show that Wi-Fi causes oxidative stress, sperm testicular damage, neuropsychiatric effects including EEG changes, apoptosis, cellular DNA damage, endocrine changes, and calcium overload. Each of these effects are also caused by exposures to other microwave frequency EMFs, with each such effect being documented in from 10 to 16 reviews. Therefore, each of these 7 EMF effects are established effects of Wi-Fi and of other microwave frequency EMFs. Each of these 7 is also produced by downstream effects of the main action of such EMFs, voltage-gated calcium channel (VGCC) activation. While VGCC activation via EMF interaction with the VGCC voltage sensor seems to be the predominant mechanism of action of EMFs, other mechanisms appear to have minor roles. Minor roles include activation of other voltage-gated ion channels, calcium cyclotron resonance, and the geomagnetic magnetoreception mechanism. 5 properties of non-thermal EMF effects are discussed. These are that pulsed EMFs are, in most cases, more active than are non-pulsed EMFs. Artificial EMFs are polarized, and such polarized EMFs are much more active than non-polarized EMFs. Dose-response curves are non-linear and non-monotone. EMF effects are often cumulative, and EMFs may impact young people more than adults. Thanks for watching. For more help, touch the links below. Feel free to subscribe for further assistance.